Look, I'll be honest, it took me a minute to come up with today's list because there are a lot of movies I'm excited for this new year, whether it's a return of a franchise, a prequel, a sequel, a small independent film, maybe some even early Oscar contenders. So with that being said, let's find out and see what movies made the cut. What's going on, movie fans, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be sharing with you all in today's video my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2024. That's right, a lot of movies to look forward to. So excited to share my list with you all. But before we get into my list, let's start the conversation in the comments below. Let me know what movies are you excited for to see in the new year, whether it's a small independent film, a big blockbuster, a sequel, a prequel, you name it. Let's have those fun conversations in the comments below. So before we get into my list, I do have some honorable mentions, and you'll see it's kind of A24 heavy because that's my favorite studio, and I always love what A24 has to offer. Even if I don't like their films, they always take risks. So with that being said, starting off this honorable mention list, I have A Glow on the TV, which is a new A24 horror film premiering at the Sundance Film Festival. Really hope I get a chance to see this sooner rather than later, but I'm really excited to see what this is all about based on the premise. We have Mother Mary, an A24 drama brought to us by David Laurie, who directed my favorite film of 2021, which was The Green Knight. Now, this film is a drama starring Michaela Cole, Anne Hathaway, and Hunter Schafer. Great cast, great director, A24. Yes, please. Moving on to Death of a Unicorn, which is a dark comedy starring Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd. A very great pairing there. Interesting premise. I am very intrigued to see the first trailer for this film and obviously check it out when it's available in theaters. Moving on to a big blockbuster sequel by the name of Gladiator 2. I'm a huge Gladiator fan, but Ridley Scott's kind of hit or miss for me, especially coming off of Napoleon. But I mean, you got Denzel, you have Pedro Pascal, Paul Mescal. It is the sequel to one of my favorite films of all time. Here's to hoping that this is great. But speaking of sequels and also Ridley Scott, we have the 9th film in the Alien franchise, an Alien Romulus, which is brought to us by Fede Alvarez. Look, man, Fede's already proven that he can take an established IP, because I personally think 2013, his version of Evil Dead, was better than the original. I know it's crazy, but I love that film. So he's already done it once, so maybe he can do it again. Because the last, I enjoy Prometheus. Covenant was okay, and then the 4th Alien, and there's some stinks in there, but there's some great ones. And I believe this one is supposed to take place between the original Alien and Alien, so we'll see what Fede has, but I'm hopeful that it's going to be great. But those are the honorable mentions. It's now time to get to the big boys, the top 10. Starting off with my number 10, coming out to theaters October 4th, we have Joker 2, or Joker Folie à Deux. Now, this is bringing back the same director, the same creative team, same composer, a lot of the same cast, at least the cast members that survived the first Joker, all while adding in Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. And oh yeah, it's a musical. So I really enjoyed the 2019 Joker, and I've only seen it like twice because it's not a film I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see the Joker again, because it's pretty heavy stuff, but very much thought it was a really thought-provoking, kind of introspective side of the Joker, much, separating itself from like the DC lore of like really diving deep into like the Batman, all that stuff. So very intrigued to see this taking place in Arkham, and again, Harley Quinn and the Joker and a musical. Pure curiosity on this. So I am expecting it to be good, hopefully. Maybe not as good as the first, but the musical elements, it could be in one of their heads. I hope it's just not like a musical all the way through, but we'll see what they had, because this, again, made $1 billion in 2019, and we all know the superhero genre is kind of at a weird place right now. So let me know if you all are looking forward to the Joker 2, and if it's going to be as good, if not better, than the original. Coming in number 10. But moving on to my number 9, and that is coming to theater September 6th of 2024. We're talking about Beetlejuice 2. Now, we have the return of Tim Burton, but as well as Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, but welcoming the new cast of Jenna Ortega, Justin Theroux, Monica Bellucci, and Willem Dafoe. When I grew up, I wasn't like the biggest Beetlejuice fan, but about a year ago, I revisited Beetlejuice because it was on like HBO. I'm like, you know what, let me just revisit this film. I don't know what it was, getting older or loving genre films. I love Beetlejuice now, and I'm really intrigued to see what they do with the sequel. I don't know much about the plot. I've heard some things. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but listen, Tim Burton is very hit or miss. Like, he has been like in a really weird creative spot the last decade. But when he came back and did Wednesday, I'm like, oh, that's the Tim Burton I used to like back in the day with Edward Scissorhands, with Beetlejuice, and so on and so forth. So I think he's back in his groove. He clearly likes working with Jenna Ortega, and he's bringing back the old cast mixed in with some great new cast. So I'm excited to see what they do with this Beetlejuice 2. Let me know if you all are excited as well. But moving on to my next one, and that is coming in the form of a prequel on June 28th. We have A Quiet Place Day One. Now, this prequel was brought to us by Michael Sarnarski, who directed 2021's Pig, starring Nicolas Cage. And if you all haven't seen that film, highly recommend it. But this new movie is a spin-off prequel and the third overall installment in the Quiet Place franchise. And it stars the likes of Lupita Nyong'o. We have Joseph Quinn, Alex Wolff, Damon Hansu, and Dennis O'Hare. So I have very much enjoyed this franchise. The first one, I think, is slightly better than the second one. Depends on the day, but I like them both. But this is a prequel, man, so I'm very much intrigued to see the beginnings of this alien invasion, knowing if we're going to learn more about where they come from, and obviously getting some great actors and some great performances. But I'm very much excited for this new movie that's a prequel that might set up another film, because I think they wanted to do another one with John Krasinski directed in, and obviously following up with Emily Blunt and everything that we got. Let me know if you all are excited for this new Quiet Place. Again, that cast, the director, again, the world that they've already established. I'm very much excited for this new Quiet Place film. Moving on to the next film, which is my number 7, which goes by the name of Kind of Kindness, which is slated to come out sometime in 2024. Now, this is an anthology film directed by the incredible Yorgos Lanthimos and stars Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, Willem Dafoe, and Margaret Qualley. Now, I am a big fan of Yorgos, and if you all have seen my top 10 list, you can find out where Poor Things landed. But that collaboration that's been what, 4 films now with Emma Stone and Yorgos, they're operating on another level. And then the rest of the cast is fantastic as well. But besides knowing it's an anthology film, I do not care what it's about. It could be about actors reading a phone book or how to make peanut butter and jelly. I love this actor combination with Yorgos and Emma and the rest of the cast. Sign me up. I'm very much excited for it. So let me know what you all think about the new Yorgos film. Are you a fan of his films? Did you like Poor Things? Let me know in the comment section. Moving on to my number 6, which comes out April 26th of 2024. We're talking about the film that got delayed, but now it's coming to the theaters. We're talking about Challengers, which is a romantic sports drama directed by the incredible Luca Guadagnino. And after following a losing streak, the wife and the coach of a Grand Slam champion signs him up for a Challenger event where he will face off against a former lover. Now, I mentioned this was delayed. Now, this film was supposed to come out last year, but with the writer's strike and everything going on with the actor strike, they pushed it back to April. I am a fan of everyone involved. The actors, I think Zendaya is fantastic. But Luca Guadagnino, man, ever since seeing, I believe it was a Splash, and then from there to Call Me By Your Name, to Suspiria, to he had a show on HBO that I cover on the channel that I love. So I am a huge Luca Guadagnino fan, and I love, like I said, that trailer was hot and sexy, if you ask me, man. We don't get a lot of hot and sexy films like we used to back when I was growing up, right? I sound like an old head now. But no, I love the director, love his stories, love this cast, and I'm very much excited to see what this film is all about. So before we get into my top 5, I want to take this time to thank you all for making it to this point in the video. If you haven't already, if you're having a good time, consider hitting that like button. Consider sharing this video, but also sharing your list of your most anticipated films in the comments below. But also consider subscribing to the channel. Moving into that top 5 category, we got a big superhero film that the MCU is really hoping that takes off. We're talking about Deadpool 3 coming out July 26th. Now, so far, the only synopsis I was able to find was Wolverine is recovering from his injuries when he crosses paths with the loudmouth Deadpool as they team up to defeat a common enemy. I don't know about y'all, but I have seen some spoilers that was on X, formerly known as Twitter, and it's like, oh man, I would have wished I was surprised by those things, but I'm still very much excited because I think this film is going to be what Doctor Strange 2 wasn't, and Spider-Man wasn't, on the sense of like, yes, we got Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, the different variations of the multiverse, but they really haven't dove into the idea of the multiverse. And from everything that we're hearing and seeing online, it looks like we're going to be seeing a lot of previous characters from other universes in this film. But even putting that aside, I'm loving the synergy and the collaboration that we have with Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds from Fall Guy, and what we have with the Adam Project. They just seem to really work well together. Add on the mix of Hugh Jackman, who's making his return as Wolverine, which isn't a spoiler. They announced that publicly. But I like this trio. I love the potential of what we can see in this film. And let's be honest, man, I won't say the DCEU, but the MCU, both of these franchises, the comic book genre, besides what's going on with Amazon, with Invincible and The Boys, everything else has just been kind of lackluster and half-assed, and collectively, it's been pretty disappointing. So I think Marvel is really banking on this, kind of bringing them back to the forefront, making people excited. It's the only MCU film that we're getting this year, so fingers crossed that is as good as the previous Deadpools, which I think the first one is a great movie. Second one's okay, so I'm hopeful that this is going to be the multiversal event that we've been looking for. At the same time, having a good story, great characters, this bromance between the two characters. So let me know if you all are excited for Deadpool 3. I'm thinking this is going to be the hit that Marvel's been looking for a while. But moving on to my number 4, and that is coming to theaters sometime in 2024. If I were to bet, probably sometime close to October. We're talking about A24's final installment of the X trilogy in the form of Maxine. This film takes place after being the only survivor of the events of the massacre. Maxine moves to Los Angeles in the early 1980s to pursue her dreams of becoming a famous actress. Now listen, y'all, we got the Queen of Horror, Mia Goth, is back. We have Elizabeth Debicki. We have Giancarlo Esposito and Kevin Bacon. Come on, Ty West, come through with this great cast. I love the X trilogy. Now, I love the first film, X. The second film, what we got with the origin story, Pearl, I thought the film was okay, but Mia Goth's performance was just next level. So I love Mia Goth. I love this kind of trilogy. We didn't know it was coming. I love this cast. I'm a slasher fan to the death of me. Like, if you all know me, it's sci-fi and horror, and slasher is my favorite subgenre within the horror genre. So I'm very much excited to see what this is all about. Again, a good first two films, a great first one, a solid second one, but I'm hoping they stick the landing with this trilogy here in this third one. So I love this, what we got with Maxine. I can't wait to see what it's all about. But moving on to my next film, which is number 3, slated to come out on Christmas, we have Nosferatu. Now, this cast is stacked. Bill Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Emma Corrin, and Willem Dafoe. I mean, Willem Dafoe's in everything, and I love it because he's a fantastic actor. But this is brought to us by one of my favorite directors in general, but also just particularly in the horror genre, Robert Eggers. I mean, I'm not the biggest witch fan, but I can respect the filmmaking. But Lighthouse, and the most underrated film of that year, what he did with The Northman, I think he's a fantastic director. Again, the cast, the subject matter is him going back to horror, is dealing with this classic monster, vampire, and Nosferatu. I am so stoked for this. This is going to be a Christmas present for us all, for us in the horror genre. So very much excited for that film. But now there were 2 left. And speaking of number 2, let's talk about it here. And that is Furiosa Mad Max Saga, coming to theaters on May 24th. As this is going to be following the young story of young Furiosa being taken away from the Green Place, and her trying to get redemption and trying to get back to her homeland and surviving the many trials that comes with being in the wasteland. I love that trailer. Anya Taylor-Joy fits into that role perfectly in Furiosa. I love the prospects that we saw with Chris Hemsworth, and that trailer again was just awesome. If y'all don't know this, 2015's Mad Max Fury Road is one of my favorite films of all time, and this is coming from someone that respects the previous films, but I wasn't never a Mad Max type of dude. But Fury Road, seeing that in theaters multiple times, I own it. I've seen it 1,000 times. I love it. I am hopeful that it will be a glorious, glorious day when this comes to theaters, because, again, I'm a big fan of Fury Road. And apparently, if everything goes according to plan, we're going to get this, and then they're going to follow up with the Mad Max Fury Road with the sequel, which I believe right now Tom Hardy is signed on to do that. So the more the merrier, the more the better. I love being in this world, and I'm really excited to see what they have with Furiosa coming in at my number 2, which brings us to my number 1. And I might sound like a broken record because this was my number 1 last last year, but unfortunately it was delayed. If y'all know me, you know it's coming in at number 1, and that is Denis Villeneuve's Dune, coming to theaters on March 1st. As this film will follow Paul Atreides continuing his journey, united with Shani and the Fremen as he seeks revenge against the conspirators who destroyed his family and endeavors to prevent a terrible future that only he can prevent. Listen, y'all, Dune, when it came out, was my favorite film of that year. I'm a big fan of the Frank Herbert universe of Dune. If you all check out my most anticipated shows, you'll see that there is a Dune show that made my list, pretty high on that list. I love this world, Arrakis. I love Paul Atreides and the Harkonnens and the Fremens and Shani and the Love and all this stuff. And apparently we're going to be getting Dune Messiah. I am here for it. Denis Villeneuve is my favorite director. Again, I think that first Dune movie was just a pure masterpiece of a film, and I am so excited because this one, if you all know the Dune story, the sequel, this is much larger. This is grandiose. This is the battles that a lot of people complained that the first one was, oh, it's kind of boring. It's only half of a movie. Sure, whatever. This is the movie that's going to get you all excited. I love the first one, but I know as far as like action fans go, and I'm an action fan myself, but this will be a lot of more action, world building. We're going to bring back a lot of the amazing cast from the first one, but also bringing in Louis Sadu. You have Austin Butler. We have Florence Pugh, Christopher Walken. I mean, come on, man. This film is going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see it in IMAX, man. So I'm going to give you all a nice little prediction. I predict that Dune Part 2 will probably be in my top 2 movies of 2024, but I could be wrong. We'll see. But with that being said, there is my top 10 list of most anticipated movies of 2024. This was so much fun, and I thank you all for watching this video. This isn't the only list I have. I've already done a video for my top 10 most anticipated shows that will probably be coming out sometime soon if it's not already on the channel. I have my top 10 movies of 2023, my top 10 shows of 2023, and I have a bunch of other kind of short form content with best horror films of last year, best comic book movies of last year, favorite Netflix films of last year, underrated films of last year. A lot of lists to say the least. But if you had a good time, this is your first time watching one of my videos, I want to welcome you all to the community. Consider sticking around and hitting this button to subscribe and hitting that bell notification. Also, check out all my other lists that I've done so far for the end of the year. Check out my most recent breakdown. You all are awesome. Hope you're staying safe, and I'll catch you all on the next video.